Okay, I wasn't happy with that last video because you really couldn't see the notes. So these are the notes from September 20th. So on Friday we talked about exponential form or notation and powers of 10. The first thing we discussed was why this form. Because scientists, mathematicians have to work with extremely large or small numbers to make the calculations easier, keep track of, and because these numbers can get really big or really small, they use exponential form or notation. And then we talked about the basics of the form. And in 10 to the second power, we can see that 10 is the base and 2 is the exponent. Okay? The exponent is the most important number here because it tells us how many times to use the base number in multiplication. Okay, so the exponent tells us how many times to use the base number in multiplication. So 10 to the second power means 10 times 10, which is equal to 100. So exponents are just another way to represent values of different numbers. And then let me switch here. Then we did another example. So we have 10 to the third power. That the exponent tells us how many times we're going to multiply the base number. So the 3 tells us we're going to multiply 10 times 10 times 10. Notice there are 3 tens there. 10 times 10 times 10 is equal to 1,000. And then I just added this note for the students so we know how to say these numbers in exponential form. In words, 10 to the third power can be called 10 to the third power. We did another example, 10 to the fourth power here, which means the 4 tells me I'm going to have 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Notice there's 4 tens multiplied together, and that's what the 4 tells me. That's what the exponent tells me. And then when I multiply those tens together, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, I get 10,000 as my answer. Okay? And then we had a discussion into the powers of 10. Instead of having a lot of zeros, you show how many powers of 10 will make those zeros. So we can use the powers of 10 to replace those zeros in a number, and that's what we're going to be doing when we write using powers of 10 to write numbers in expanded form. This is something different over the past years. So for example, we have 5,000. I can write 5,000 as 5 times 1,000, or I can get rid of that section and replace it with 10 to the third power, because 10 to the third power is 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 1,000. So 5 times 10 to the third power would equal 5,000. Same thing with 600. 600 is 6 times 100. So I can replace those zeros which represent 100, those 2 zeros in the number 600 which represent 600. 6 times 10 to the second power, 10 times 10 equals 100, or 10 to the second power equals 100. Same thing with 30,000. 30,000 can be written as 3 times 1,000, and I can replace the 1,000 section with 10 to the fourth power. 3 times 10 to the fourth power equals 30,000. And the thing that we notice with the powers of 10, the exponent tells us how many zeros we have in the number. So for example, 5,000, I have 3 zeros in that number, so it's 10 to the third power. 600, I have 2 zeros, 10 to the second power. 30,000, I have 4 zeros, 10 to the fourth power.